Alrighty, we are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Seisha, and I'm the social media manager here at Charis Books and More, which is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore, and also of Charis Circle, which is our nonprofit programming arm. And tonight we are so excited here to be here and celebrate Yrsa Daley-Ward's first foray into fiction with a discussion of The Catch, which is a darkly whimsical tale of women daring to live and create with impunity. And tonight, Yrsa will be in conversation with Tina Leung, who I am so excited to introduce, but who also does not really need an introduction. Um, Tina is a multi-hyphenate known for her vibrant aesthetic and keen eye. With a background in styling, she has worked with numerous high-profile brands and magazines. Tina is also recognized for her engaging social media presence, where she shares her unique style and travel adventures. She has built a loyal following by promoting inclusivity and diversity in the fashion industry. Tina and her friends Prabal Gurung, Laura Kim, Philip Lim, and Ezra William created House of Slay during lockdown, an advocacy group for the AAN HPI community with the mission to amplify the voices, visibility, and representation of the diaspora and beyond. In addition to her work in fashion, Tina is an advocate for mental health awareness and women's rights. She curated and edited Bulgari's tome, Magnifica, The Power Women Hold, in 2021, balancing glamour with stories steeped in women's empowerment. She starred in the reality series Bling Empire New York and was a fan favorite for her vulnerability. Her dynamic approach to fashion and life continues to inspire many around the world. Thank you so much for being here with us, Tina. And before I hand it off to you, I'm also going to introduce Glory. Glory is here to introduce Yrsa and to start us off with a few words about the catch. And Glory Edim is the founder of Well Read Black Girl, a podcast and digital literacy platform that celebrates the uniqueness of Black literature and sisterhood. She edited the Well Read Black Girl anthology, which was nominated for an NAACP Image Award and named a Best Book of the Year by Library Journal. Her book, On Girlhood, is a collection of groundbreaking short stories that explore the thin yet imperative line between Black girlhood and womanhood. The winner of the Innovators Award from the Los Angeles Times Book Prizes, Edim worked as a cultural practitioner for over 10 years and serves on the board of Baldwin for the Arts. Her memoir, Gather Me, a memoir in praise of the books that saved me, was released in 2024. I'm going to hand it off to Glory, but I also wanted to remind folks that we are in a dialogue tonight, so if you would like to leave comments or questions for our authors, please do so. You can do so in the chat box or in the little question one as well. And also, buying your books from Charis allows us to keep putting on more events like this. So if you'd like to purchase The Catch, you can do so by clicking on that teal button right below us where it says Buy The Catch from Charis Books and More. It goes on to support us and helps us do more events like this. But I'm going to head out and pass it on to Glory.
Thank you so much. I am going to take a moment just to set the stage for this beautiful conversation. When I first read Yrsa Daley-Ward's manuscript, I was floored. I felt immediately connected to her voice because everything Yrsa writes is raw, poetic, and real. Okay, she is the realest person, and this book represents that realness. She writes with a kind of clarity that cuts through silence and speaks directly to the soul. Her words linger, they challenge, they heal. Once you start reading The Catch, you will not put it down. So, as Charis said, buy the link below. Make sure you pick up this book. It is such immense pride and joy that I get to introduce The Catch. It's a stunning new work by Yrsa, and it's the first book published under the Well Read Black Girl imprint with Liveright. This is such a special moment because it's more than just a literary milestone. It's a celebration of her vision, her voice, and the boundless brilliance when it comes to Black women writers. I'm so honored that Yrsa chose us for this debut. With The Catch, she invites us into a story that feels expansive, intimate, and I just know this is the first of many beautiful books where her storytelling continues to redefine what it means to tell the truth, to tell a story that is you're truly original and innovative. And her book, like all of her work, is a gift. I feel very honored to be in this space because her writing reminds us of the power of who we are, when we dare to look inward, when we dare to just be our most audacious, biggest, brightest selves. And whether you're on her Substack, The Utter, or reading The Catch, you get all of her. And I'm so, again, I've said the word grateful a million times because it's just an honor. And I think you all will really enjoy this conversation. Tina, I've seen her questions. She's going to get into it, okay? And so I'm going to just pass it on. I just want to say welcome to the beginning of something bold. Welcome to The Catch. Enjoy, enjoy. Thank you all so much.
Amazing. I didn't know it was actually, I didn't know I was actually live just now, and my face, I was like all over the place. But I'm so excited, Yrsa, to talk to you about this, your very first fiction novel, The Catch. Right away, page one, page two, I was like in it, and my chest was like thumping, and
Good.
I and I couldn't put it down, but I had to put it down because I couldn't breathe at the same time. I didn't know when one thing ended, one story ended, and another began. It was just so visceral and so riveting. Let's start with some easy questions first. Like, can you paint us a picture of your early world? I always like to start with a bit of visual context as a background. Where did you grow up and all that good stuff?
Okay, you know what? I was thinking about this question. I was thinking about this idea, and I was talking to someone about this today. And the conclusion that I came to was I was born and brought up in the northwest of England, and there's a lot of things about the northwest, like it always rains, it's kind of dull and like gritty, but there is this vast landscape and just so many trees and like rolling hills, and there's a lot of green and it's very quiet. And at the time I grew up, there wasn't a lot of diversity or anything like that, so we were one of the only few black people for miles. But there was something about, it's a specific part of the country with specific ideals and a very specific humor and just a graininess. But I think that's like the backdrop to making stories and telling stories. And I think because I had a lot of peace and quiet and like alone time, it was perfect to read and fall into stories as escapism and as just magical. They were like magical things, like rockets that you could get into and then go somewhere else. So I think that living there and being brought up there has been like, I think it's part of the ingredients. Everything is like kind of part of you, like the soup that makes you up, good or bad. I think that living somewhere like that has brought me stories.
So you lived there until what age?
Oh
And
my
did you
God.
start
So I
writing
lived
at
in
that
the
time?
north of England up until I was around probably I'm probably like 19, 20. I mean, when I include Manchester because I moved to the big city as soon as I could and was really interested in that because it was fast and it was fun. But I only moved to London after that because it was just
Mm,
easier for work and everything. But that whole first chunk of time, there was so much silence and peace and nature.
that's nice. So did you start writing at that time?
I have been writing for as long as I can remember. It was
Like,
my escapism from being a kid. So I was
mm,
writing when I was tiny. I was writing a diary and being all dramatic in it and talking about like how unfair everything was and how like how I just had to get out of this life because I had better things to be doing. I was writing like that when I was like 8 and 9 and 10. So for me, that written formula, and I know for lots of people it's different things, but for me, that's a place that I can be really honest about things, especially as like an introvert. So I
yeah.
put everything into my work, even now.
Even Instagram and things like that, you pour all your words onto that. And it feels
Hmm.
like a safer way of being an extro introvert, sort of. Being,
Yeah. And
um,
I mean, you know what it's like with Instagram. You have to engage with it the way that feels natural for you, or it just becomes like a real chore. So a way of doing it for me was by putting poetry on there. That's what works. Even now, that kind of works for me.
Yeah, well, you have to make sure you stay true to yourself as well as balance. It's such a fine line balancing your work, like promoting your work and staying true to yourself.
Yeah.
So this book, The Catch, is so much about daughterhood. The dedication you wrote for your mother is hauntingly beautiful. For my mother, who blessed me with the dark, you don't get more lovely than that. Can you tell us a little bit about your mother and your relationship with her and what you mean by the dark?
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so funny because no one's asked me that. And when I said he blessed me with the dark, I kind of mean a lot of things because we carry a lot of stuff in familial lines, don't we? And especially in the line of the matriarch. So sometimes there's a lot of trauma carried in that, and there's a lot of like murkiness and not always saying the thing that it would have been really important to hear. And, so when I say dark, I do mean some of the like more difficult things in life that she had to go through and her mother had to go through. And unfortunately, you know, not all of it's good. And you pass some things down and you try and avoid some things because you want better for your daughter, but sometimes it happens even more because you're trying to avoid it. But I said blessed me with the dark because I also think, her being my mother was a huge blessing throughout it all. And I could never have been the person that I am without that specific mother. So it is a blessing, and yet it's complicated.
Yeah. I mean, do you believe that we choose our parents when coming into this life and like past lives and things like that?
You know what? I sometimes have glimmers of things and I'm like, have I been, have I been here? Like what?
Yes,
Yeah.
deja vu. That sort of, well, supposedly that sort of means that you knew exactly what your life was going to be, but then coming into the body, you forget about it so that you actually learn the lesson. Otherwise, if you already know what's going on, then you're not going to learn the lesson that you're supposed
Right.
to.
So I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know if I believe it or not. I'm not sure. Do you believe it?
After I read this book called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, he is a psychiatrist who's like super buttoned up, only believes in what you can see, like really really scientific. And then he started doing therapy, regressional. Is it called regressional?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she went all the way back, even past her childhood into her other past lives. And then in the end, after working with her for over a year and a half, she had like 100 something lives. And then that's when he started writing all these books about it. Anyways, would you like to read us a little passage from the
Yeah.
book
Yes.
about
I'll give it some context because
yes.
it jumps in there, right? So the whole, and I'm sure that like people have read the blurb, but I'll just like quickly go over it. So the whole premise of this book is that these twins are born to this single mother, and that she disappears a couple of weeks after they're born, missing, presumed dead, gone into the River Thames, disappeared, and the police say that they think she's dead. And these children, these two twins, Clara and Dempsey, as a result, don't have any parents. So they are adopted into different homes and they grow up estranged and apart from each other. So because of that, it's a very, very difficult relationship between them. Anyway, their lives continue and not in the best way. They're very different. And on their 30th birthday, this woman appears on the scene who they think is their mother, same name, same look, same everything. But she's 30. She's the age that their mother would have been when she disappeared. So it's like, how could that be so? So Clara is the one that sees her first, becomes obsessed with her, and kind of the day that she sees her, she just can't tear herself away. So she follows this woman to a flat in London and she breaks into the house. And I'm going to read that section. Night has fallen by the time I get back to Drinkwater Towers, set just across from the newsagents, which could be from another time if you squint in the right light. I park my car far up the road. I take a breath. I take several breaths. I get out of the car, moving toward the house. All around it is quiet. The streets are empty, but for a man sleeping in a dull red car opposite. Before I have time to double think, I press the doorbell. Twice. 3 times, then, after waiting, I call every single doorbell. There is this high-pitched buzzing sound, and the front door gives. I cross the dark foyer, I climb 2 flights of stairs, I follow the brown path to the farthest door on the left, and I knock loud and fast before I have time to talk myself out of it. Nobody answers, which is just as well. There is this damp-looking balcony outside the third-floor exit door running along the left of the flat. Now I am facing the room I was peering into earlier. Separating us is this window of cloudy glass. Through the glass I notice the burnt amber walls of the photo. A room I have seen before. A warning, perhaps, but when I try the window, it moves outwards a little at the bottom. I snake my hand in and unlock the latch, and the window gives from the bottom. In a swift movement, I thrust the window toward myself and I climb inside. I place my foot onto the soft carpet, gingerly at first, as though it might be a hologram, as if it could disappear from under me at any point. When I'm sure that the room is really a room and its floor is really a floor, I look up and around me, and it is almost as though I've fallen inside one of those photos we know so well. The furniture is sparse, but for this TV and speakers. But the color scheme, the feeling of the room are all present, all correct, and I've been here before. I understand that I have lived or at least dreamed this, the knowing hue of the place, the honey of the floor. Even the sound of the floorboards feels tragic and familiar. On one wall, I see a glamour picture of our mother, her tall, slender frame adorned in orange and peach feathers. There is so much orange and lilac and red everywhere, and a collection of small mirrors opposite. In the dark, I catch myself reflected 3, 4, 5 times. My heartbeat now quickens. I smell the beast in myself. Dempsey will have a heart attack. Dempsey will have to believe me now. I take my phone from my pocket to get some proof. I snap the point where the wallpaper meets the floor. I snap the wood chip on the wall and the too old to be from this decade curtains. And I snap the photos of her. And then I hear a door close behind me. Sometimes if it's nighttime and I've had a drink or two, I might see shadows that remind me of mice or moving things from the underworld. It's just anxiety, I tell myself. But no. Someone is with me in the room. Before I have time to make a decision, I feel a cold thing between my back ribs. Turn around, says the ink voice, or I'll beat the shit out of you. I asked you to turn around, says the voice, but I can't move. My mother's sound, a spell. Quickly losing patience, she spins me around. For a second, there is just the two of us in the dark, eyeballs shining. I take a chance. I move. She moves swiftly and does this trick with her legs that has me on my back. I lie there trying to take everything in. She climbs on me, her face over mine, using the weight of her head and body to pin me down. With her elbow underneath my chin, she forces my head over to one side. I'm going to kill you now, says my mother, in as deliberate a tone as I've ever heard. In the still of my body, I feel calm. I study the deep brown nape of her neck, at once exhilarated by how familiar she smells. Earth, smoke, the woods, the trees, as though wild things might be growing inside her. I close my eyes and I wait for it. I hold my breath and I almost hope it hurts.
You really write so beautifully. You write like poetry in motion, but we're going to get to that later. How did the idea for this novel first come to you? And is that how all your writing comes to you normally?
I think it comes at different times, but I think that sometimes we are making this work or whatever, we're writing it. You're kind of writing it in your body before. And so, you're going through life having these experiences, and then you sit down and it's like, oh, that thing that happened 2 weeks ago that really annoyed me, or that thing that actually was a lot more traumatic than I thought, or this thing that I'm really excited about just starts to come through. So I guess I sit down and I'm like, I want to write something, but I don't know what it's going to be. I just allow what it's going to be to come through. And it surprises me a lot of the time. Sometimes I'm like, I didn't know it was this dark. Like,
Well,
but yeah.
I was surprised at like every few chapters. I was like, no way, what? And then I had to go back a few pages and like, what? And then link the two. I was like, no way. Like your imagination and how you put it together is kind of like.
Thank you.
So I guess each of your poems and your memoir and this novel, it came to you sort of the same way in the sense that it just comes
Yeah.
to your body, and then once it's out, you're like, okay, this is a novel, or okay, this is a
Yeah. It sounds like a cop out, but I really don't know what something's going to be. And I really try not to force it. I'm Aquarius, we were talking about it before. So
yeah,
I'm good at following the flow of something. And I mean, it's not always good in my life, but it's good for this kind of work because it falls through and you
allow.
allow it. Yeah.
Mm. Well, we were just saying it was kind of dark, but this book resists being put into any one genre so powerfully. I did love at the end of the book, within this book, as you guys will see once you read this book was described as a dark fairy tale. Would you call The Catch a dark fairy tale? Would you put that into that genre?
100%, and that's my favorite kind of fairy tale. Well, I actually think that all fairy tales are dark. They're all like
Yeah,
weird and kind of unsettling, and so it's easy to find this because these are the first like stories we come to the world with.
true.
Yeah.
Do you also feel like every every book needs to be put into a genre in order to be able to be digested?
No,
Just
I
like,
think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's actually really boring the way that I think that, and I know it's sales and stuff like that, but I really resist being told what I am, in any
yeah,
way, not just in like writing books, but it's just like, what if as a person you're a spectrum of things,
yes,
you
and
know?
especially, I mean, when we meet people and then you're introduced to someone else, I guess I've come to terms with the fact that people have to say something in order to they have to put us into a box in order for that other person just to be able to relate with you somehow. But I hate being introduced and being told this is this and this is this
Yeah.
instead of just, this is your name.
Yeah,
Or
because I think it's really limiting for us, especially like I guess as well. I can imagine being in the public eye. It's you still want freedom as a human being, to freedom of expression, and when people tend to be very boxy with it, and
yeah.
it's very limiting.
Um, in the book, we encounter a doppelganger of sorts. I read on
Yeah.
Instagram the other day that at any given moment, I get lots of little facts on Instagram that at any given moment, there are 7 of your own doppelgangers out in the world. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe?
That is such a scary thought because I'm like, and I'm really interested in that because I want to know, do the doppelgangers look exactly like you? Are they
So,
similar to you? Do you have opposite traits?
yeah.
There's so many questions.
Do they speak like you? Is the tone of voice like you? Do they
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like you? And then after that, I guess maybe the algorithm knew I was interested. I saw this guy meet his doppelganger. Somehow they found each other, and that guy flew over to meet him. And they were same height, same face, everything. I don't know if they have the same character, but they looked exactly the same. That's just crazy.
I would find that really kind of
scary.
disconcerting. I really would,
Yeah. In The Catch, time is at once unsteady and cyclical. What are your thoughts on time? Do you believe that time is nonlinear? Do you believe that we are living multiple lifetimes all at once? What do you
Oh
believe?
my God. Sometimes strange things happen, and it's why I like to write so much about timelines. I don't know if you've ever heard of timeline jumping.
Yes. And
Yes.
slipping into another slipstream.
Right. I do think that we have the power to do things I think there are powers that we possess that we have no idea that we possess. And I do think there is something to like momentum and belief and language and how we can slip between like possibles by you create it, you can self-author. So I believe in that, and I think if you believe in that, you probably can slip timelines and just make your timeline different. But there's a lot of things I'm open to. I'm definitely open to magic.
Well, we can
Yeah.
see that in your book. There's like magic everywhere in that book. But then at the same time, it's like, is there magic? I was really
Right. Right.
I absolutely love when you capitalize words in the book. It creates a whole other story within the story, like secret messages and like whole characters within the text. How intentional was that? And can you expand on that at all?
Yeah. I think like it's so uh I'm hearing myself talk, and sometimes I'm like, God, you sound as though you just sat there and like took the minutes like a secretary. But I think that that's what happens. And it's more like I'll just go with it. So I'm hearing someone talk or something, I know when their voice spikes, and the way that I know to show that is by using capitals. But again, like, and you know what? I actually I don't mess with my first thought on things. I'm not like, oh no, it should be small, now it should be cap. If it comes to as capital, even if that doesn't make sense, I think because I'm a poet, you've got so much license to do what you want. So I'm like, why can't I just do it in the book then? I'm gonna do it in the book.
I love it. I guess that's also, it just shows how strongly you listen to your intuition. And like right now, I feel like I have times where I'm not listening whatsoever. And did you always have that, or did you have to build that up?
Well, you've just said you have times when you don't listen at all, and I have really, I mean, it's such a horrible feeling when you know that you knew something and then you didn't listen, and then everything like blows up, and you just think, God, I wanted to say something, or I didn't want to do that thing, and now I've done it, and it's put me in a bad position. So yeah, I like to listen now, because I feel it's just awful when you haven't listened to yourself, and you've been too accommodating, or you've given something up that you really wanted, and no one's going to make sure that you have it but you.
Yeah, it's just,
yeah,
I can't really hear it sometimes. Like a lot of the times I can't hear. So it's nice to see and to hear that yours is so strong, and you're able to listen.
You know what helps me with that? Like sometimes I think I can't hear it if I am really, really sensitive. I hate when things are too loud. I hate when I'm around too many people, too much noise. Loads of like being in nature and like time with myself is not kind of influenced by a situation or what somebody else wants, because I'm really sensitive to that, and sometimes I'll go the wrong way because I can feel someone else. So it's all this time on my own helps me, because I can hear it then. So I know that all those like pockets of me time are when I'm getting back to self, or like especially early in the morning, in the middle of the night, I can hear myself really clearly as well, but not always. So that's why I do all these things to kind of hear it again.
do all these things, meaning being in nature and staying away.
Nature's a big one. Long walks, getting like just like being rested, and again like not in these social situations that like make me act where I've just got a lot of I guess anxiety, because that doesn't, then I'm not dropped into myself and I can't hear anything. So all of the quiet time helps me, the time just listening to myself. Yeah.
Good to know. I'm going to practice that. There's such a poetic cadence in your prose. At times, I had to reread the sentences because they carried such multiple layered meanings. Do you think in poetry, even when writing fiction? Do you like think in poetry when you're walking down the street or when you're cooking or whatever?
I don't think I am that poetic. So sometimes I'm very, very just not eloquent at all. And but when I'm writing something, yes, just because sometimes thoughts are going too quickly, then we've got time to write it down. So the poetry is like a short form. Or sometimes when you can't, you're experiencing something, but you're kind of in and out and it's wispy and you're like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know how I feel. I think poetry helps with that because you can kind of, it's like things happen in waves. Because sometimes I just have such memory issues and such because I was tense at the time or something. So it's easier to use poetry sometimes than use just straight narrative, because things, we don't think in perfect sentences. We just don't. Yeah.
But when you wrote The Catch, it came out the way you wrote it?
It came out poetic because I think sometimes the characters were under a lot of stress. And sometimes, so then I would just like write down the page because things are going too quickly for them, especially when she first sees the woman that looks exactly like her mother. So it's like, of course, it's like, it's jagged, it's like quick sentences. So yeah, I just try and mimic what everyday, I think poetry does it better.
And you can feel that pace when the way you write and in the different paragraphs. And so first it was poetry and then a memoir and now fiction. How differently does it feel when writing these? Does one or more feel more constraining or freeing? One or more like more healing, cathartic?
Do you know what's really nice? There's something really lovely and cathartic about being able to write a poem, because it's like, what's that? The painter that just throws the paint at like Pollock, like,
yes.
That's what it feels like with poetry. But the good thing about writing a novel, which was also cathartic, is that you have these characters and they become like homes, and you can go back to them, you can travel back to them, and you've left them somewhere, then you've got the other person talking, then you go back and you're like, oh my God, I recognize this person. So I think it's just different, but I like both of it. There was something to like making a longer piece of work, because you write a poem and then it's finished after a few minutes. Well, I write very quickly with the poem, so it's like done. And that's great, but the book is this long, like complex thing. So it's, I don't know, it's just two different things that like heal you in different ways.
And do you have, I mean, it wasn't in the list of questions, but do you have something lined up already that you're already working on?
My God, Tina, there was so many. I think my big problem is I don't know why, but I'm in this period where I wake up with like ideas, and then I'm like, no, I should be doing this, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing this. So it's a lot of new things are like being born, and I just have to figure out which one to do.
That's amazing though, that you get all these ideas and they just come to you.
Yeah,
so when an idea comes to you, do you just drop everything? Like if you're in the middle of laundry or something and an idea comes to you, do you just
I wish. You know what the thing is? No, quite honestly, the thing is there's always so much to do that I kind of have got good at being like, okay, this is the morning like part of the day. This is my time for that. And the rest of the time is spent at doing just adulting and like answering emails, and it's just very unsexy, but like making sure that things are done. But that first part of the day is very sacred to me. I'm not having it now because I'm on tour, but it's very important for me to grab that, because the day just like starts to push on you, and everybody's demands come, and I can't write in that space. I can only write when I'm like fresh in the morning.
Oh, so much adulting.
So much.
You are such a multi-hyphenate. We were talking about that earlier. Poet, writer, actor, and more. How did acting, of all things, enter the picture? And is there anything else you're growing into that you'd love to add on to this list?
Oh my God, I wish I could add loads of things on there, like chef, interior designer, like painter. But it's like, how many things can you do? I mean, you can do loads of things, but it's like, how many things can you do well? And I'd be the person to like buy all the paint and everything, and then it's like there 6 months later in the house, like you've done nothing. But acting was. I love to tell stories, so acting, like writing music, which was another thing I used to do before I was like, right. It's part of it for me. It's just part of telling a story. So I'll do it. And the thing about doing a lot of things is they stay fun, because you're not doing, what it's like to be, yeah. So yeah, it keeps life interesting, and we've got to keep life interesting, because it can really be not.
Actually, I should ask you some. Okay, I'll finish the other questions first. But favorite books that shaped you?
Okay, Alice Walker, By the Light of My Father's Smile, and The Color Purple, because, in fact, the complete stories, so many of her books, because she just wrote it and didn't care, even though people were really mad at her for writing about certain things and things in the Black community that she was saying. She was just speaking, like saying the unsayable, which I'm always talking about and like teaching. It's one of my courses that I teach. She made me want to just be wild when I write, and it's because of her why I think I'm even a writer. So she's one of them. She's one of them. Yeah.
Favorite poems? Poems that live in your bones?
Oh my God, there are so many. I can tell you poets, because these poets have loads. I, of course, love. So there are poets that like Dana Smith, who I think is really interesting. Naira Waheed, who writes in a really beautiful and like soulful way. Ada Limon, who is like the poet laureate, writes incredible poems. And oh my God, Mary Oliver, about like nature and oneness and the world. Roald Dahl. There were just so many. Spike Milligan, like, so many poets. And the Instagram, poetry is not a luxury. They have a Patreon as well. They just have all these poems every day, and I love it, because it's like,
all of that as well.
Yeah, they're like a poet dealer. They've got so many. It's amazing.
Where do you think in the body does the catch live?
Oh, definitely I think the guts, like the belly, because it's like those people in the catch are experiencing really visceral things, and it's like things that they've buried some of it. But it's, when you got a stomach upset, like you can't, what can you do about it? Like, you have to deal with it. It's very deep.
Well, that comes to the end of my questions. Let's check here online what other people are asking. Time for, oops. Oh, where did she go? Oops. Okay, maybe we're done there. Yrsa's gone. Accidentally. Oh, she's back. Oh, hi. I don't know if the question thing is working, because I don't see any. But let's see. Glory, are you still there? Glory, do you want to ask some questions? The book is out today, I think, right? So has anyone gotten their copy yet? I think today is the day, June 2nd, yes. Has anyone gotten their, this is the hardback. I just got the hardback version a couple of days ago,
Oh my God, yes. It's
but I
still a
had the
shock for me when
paperback.
I see it.
So beautiful. And then I keep thinking it's going to be bright. Oh, it's bright pink. Like book. Okay, we have a couple questions. What is Yrsa's writing process? Well, we kind of
oh wow. Can you hear me? I think I like
yes.
disappeared and came back. My writing process is first thing in the morning, hopefully before I've spoken to anybody, because people affect that, I think, that message from source, even someone you love, even, and I'm getting esoteric and all like spiritual, but it's true. I really think that like you have these messages from above.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before, Tina, about intuition as well. I think it's like listening to something else that's not you with all your stuff. But anyway, that helps me write. And first thing in the morning, I just like get in front of the computer, I have my coffee, and then I start and I let it come through. It helps sometimes to have like some sort of deadline or something that you're
Yeah.
working to, but just write then and really take those few those hours that are just yours, no interruptions, no in Instagram, none of that, because it's going to like shrink your brain, and then you'll just want to look at that because that's like really colorful and kind of takes all your inspiration away. It's also looking at other people does not help you with a creative practice. It's like I think it's the like antithesis of that.
Instagram is so, I don't know what it is, but over the long weekend, we had Memorial Day weekend here. I deleted Instagram, my message app, my WhatsApp app, and TikTok, and it felt like a whole load off my shoulders. But I love sharing and storytelling as well through pictures.
Yeah.
But it just felt so good. What fills your cup in between projects?
Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I don't think I have in between projects anymore. I think my projects overlap, and I think that, I mean, but maybe the projects fill my cup. I like to be working towards some sort of creative. It's fun for me. It's fun to like work it out and like try and see if anybody else is interested. It's fun to be, yeah. And I always talk about it, and I feel so boring, but like being outside, being in a sunny place, not being cold fills my cup. And life being interesting, like doing fun things, not boring things, and not listening to too much complaints.
What are boring things?
I think, because I actually think routine can be quite beautiful, but I think sometimes we can get so used to the things that we've always done in the places that we've always done. Even being, so I'm in LA now, but right now that's where I live. But even being on tour and breaking that up a bit has made me feel like a little excited and like, oh my God, I actually love this place. And there's just something to like the turning over of new like experiences and seeing new things and being part of new things that really, even if it's like uncomfortable because you're nervous or it's different, there's something about it that's thrilling. Like you need the thrill, you need life to be thrilling, I think.
So did you move to LA because of the sun and the trees?
Yeah, I think, well, I'm going to be honest, like I didn't know what I was going to do because I was in New York for a bit and I was like, I need a break from there. And then I followed the thread. I was like, let me just sit there for a while and see. And I did. And the thing about writing is you can write anywhere. So yeah, as long as you are writing, you can move a little bit. If you're willing to be, if you're willing to forgo the comfort of like having a base, you can move a lot.
What would you tell your younger self, especially during a time when you felt more hopeless or dark?
I would tell my younger self that all of these things about you that you run from and that you find difficult and hard to process and pass are the very things that improve your just your usefulness, your make you richer in another venue. So it's like some of the things that I thought I've been ashamed of or that have alienated me have just increased my capacity for empathy, for love, for understanding, for definitely for art. And I'm very, very grateful for the life that I've had and the life that I've lived. And so I would tell them that there is, even though nobody's going through it wants to hear this, but that although certain things are hard, that you'll be able to do a beautiful thing with it. You'll be able to do several beautiful things with it. And you'll have the velocity to do that because of what you've learned in the fire, you know. That's what I
Yeah,
would say.
beautiful. All our lessons. All our lessons. So, guys, we're coming up to time. This was so nice. I would love to welcome Seisha from Charis Books back. That was such a nice conversation.
That was lovely. Thank you so much.
More.
I'm so happy that we did this.
Yeah, we'll do another one about enlightenment and turning pain into power and all
Yeah,
that.
anytime. Just let me
Good.
know. And yes,
But
let me
first,
know.
we have 5 million other tour dates
But it's
to
going to
get.
be over so quickly. It will be over so quickly. That's the thing about this. It You write the book and you gear up for this, and then all of a sudden it's out, and you're like, wait, what?
How long did it take you to write the book?
uh, all in all, there were months that I took away from it, or that I didn't have it, or that it was being read, and I would say all in all, a couple of years. A couple of
Wow.
years. Yeah, but it had a lot of breathing space, which I think it benefited from that. I got more mature in the process and saw more things, which then appeared in the book.
Well, guys, it
Hi,
seems
can you
like,
hear me?
oh, yes, we hear you.
We
So
hear you.
sorry. I can't find myself up in the wing to bring myself back down. Sorry, audience. I was having terrible technical difficulties before this, and Tina and Yrsa were so patient and so incredible in this conversation. It was so amazing to hear you read your writing, and Tina, you asked incredible questions. I have such a soft spot for poets turn like fiction writers. It was really incredible to hear. But we at Charis are so excited for the catch. We're so excited for you, Yrsa. And if you in the audience are excited as well after this conversation, you can purchase the catch from Charis by clicking on that teal button. The cover is beautiful, the book is beautiful. Tina's holding it up right now. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you for asking incredible questions, and we hope that you have a great rest of your evening. Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good night. Thank you.